Hey listeners, I hope everyone's doing well and having a good Wednesday. I hope people have been enjoying or at least listening to the podcasts that I've been putting up of my blog posts that I wrote. I converted them into audio and been posting them as a podcast. So if you haven't checked out my actual blog website, you're able to listen to them on the podcast feed, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. Now, whether you think it's cool or not, I guess remains to be known because nobody's commented or, let me know in any way. So I'm not sure how y'all like it, but hopefully you do because I enjoy doing it. So anyway, but I wanted to just talk a little bit about my morning this morning. I'm going to write about it later, but I thought I will actually talk about it here first on the podcast. So this morning, I ended up going on a run. Now, if you remember, back a couple months ago now, I was running, or at least starting to run. And, then it got really hot, and also I had my surgery in June. So the running kind of was put on the back burner. And again, it was super hot, so it wasn't really ideal to run, at least in my opinion. And I wasn't sure how I felt about going back out to run because honestly, running as a blind person, you have to rely on someone else. And that's hard because you're relying and waiting for someone else to take you, or not even take you, but to meet with you at wherever you're planning on running and to run with you to make sure, you don't run into something or trip over something. It's a whole thing, and it honestly wasn't that appealing to me. I've been independent most of my life, and it felt kind of downgrading, if that could be the proper term to describe it, because you're just depending on someone else to run with you. You can't just run by yourself. Now, I probably could if it was in an open area, and no worries about traffic or people. But I don't live in that ideal setting, right? So, but I did end up talking with a local lady who I met through an online website called United in Stride. And they are an organization who partners sighted people, they call them guides, running guides, with a person who's blind or visually impaired athlete or a blind runner, however you want to word it. And you can search for people around you. You sign up whether you're a blind person or a sighted person. You sign up saying, I am a blind person, or they call them blind athletes, looking for a guide runner. Or if you're sighted, you sign up, saying you're a sighted person looking to guide to guide blind people. Excuse me. So I found this lady through that website, and we connected, and we ran a couple months ago. We met up and started running together. But then again, it got hot, and I had a surgery and all that stuff. But then I met up with her today, and we met up at a local college at their track. And I would have to say that running on a track was much nicer than running down a sidewalk with bumps and edges and narrow and stuff. I guess if once I get more seasoned in running, it might be okay, but the track was ideal because it's very smooth, and it's a track, so it's curved some places and straight in other ones, and it's also wide. And it's really ideal for that. There's hardly any people, at least at the time we went, hardly any people, actually no people on the track. And it was pretty nice. So I'm glad we ended up meeting up. I wasn't sure if I was going to meet up with her. Like, we talked, and she was like, hey, I want to go for a run sometime this week or anytime in the evenings. And I was like, I don't know. I was really, my feelings were kind of like in the middle. I thought it was a fun idea and cool because I could get out of the house and meet up with another adult. But then I have to depend on her, and just the running thing too. It's a sport that a lot of us are not very well at, good at. Of course, it takes practice, but I just wasn't sure, and I just didn't feel. I was like, do I really feel like going for a run? And I thought initially she was going to pick me up, and then I found out otherwise this morning when I was about to, when I was getting ready to go. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to have to take a lift now, which is fine. So I did, and I got there, and it worked out because the babysitter was coming to watch the kids. So she did that, and I went for the run. And I'm glad I did, now that I'm home and seeing what my crazy dog is up to, because I didn't take Astro with me. I was taking a lift, so I had a couple concerns. One, about denials. That's a whole nother issue I can get into later. But also, when he runs, he gets kind of crazy because, he's a dog and he wants to play and run and jump. And I said, for this first time, let me just go, with my cane and meet up with this lady and, see how it goes from there. And she drove me home, which was nice. But yeah, so it was a nice run. We did a mile. I didn't want to do too much because I didn't want to be like overly exhausted. But I thought a mile was a good point to do. And we ran mainly the straightaways and walked the curves. So it was a good little, exercise. And I'm glad I went. I really am. Sometimes, even if you don't feel like doing it or you're unsure of it, and you actually do it, regardless of how you feel and stuff, you're like, oh, I'll just do it anyway. You get surprised how, feelings change afterwards and how good you feel afterwards. And I think that's a big thing with a lot of us when it comes to exercise, right? We tend to, a lot of us either are working from home, so we're sitting in front of a computer all day, or someone like me who doesn't work from home, well, technically, but it's home with kids all day, and, you're sitting here, you're sitting there, you're around the house, so you're going to be sitting a lot, right? And just getting up and doing extra exercise just seems, first you have to think about, the timing, and then, especially if you're working, I feel too tired to do it. But you might not really be, it's just your mind. You got to really overpower your mind, right? And you got to say, even though I feel like I just want to lay down and rest, maybe doing a quick 10-minute walk to see how that makes me feel. And typically, you do that 10-minute walk, it turns into a 20-minute walk, because then you start feeling really good. Because you're getting your limbs and your body moving, and that's what your body needs. We're sitting and being still too much. And that's not good. Our body needs to move and circulate, all the blood and the oxygen. Everything in our body needs to move and, cycle through its processes. So, once even though we're like, I do know I want to do this, I don't want to actually do it, you're going to feel much better. I speak from experience as of this morning. And I notice that a lot, with other things. So if you are at that point where you're just don't want to do it, or you're unsure about it, just do it, Just say, okay, I'm going to do it, and see how you feel afterwards. And writing it down could help. You have a little journal or just a piece of paper, write it down your feelings, and kind of, or even on your phone, of course, I guess, write it out and say, oh, I feel like crap today. I really don't want to do this. This is how I feel today. But I should do, let's say, a 10-minute walk. So then you do that 10-minute walk. And then you analyze yourself. How do I feel? I feel pretty good. Mostly, a lot of people will. Maybe you might not feel really good. Maybe it's just like, that was enough. But I guarantee your emotional state will change. Whether you feel like you can do an hour walk, or like, oh, you know what, 10 minutes is perfect. I feel good. I feel refreshed. And I feel accomplished, So, writing it down and kind of like, not blogging it. What's the right word? Like, there's a word I can't think of right now. But, just writing it down and keeping track of it, you'll see how it does really change your emotional state. So anyway, that is what I have to say for today. I don't want to make this too long or bore everyone half to death. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to comment. You can comment in Spotify. You can comment on my YouTube podcast video thing. And in the description, I have all the contact information, the way you can contact me for Instagram, Twitter. I had to put my Facebook there. I created a Facebook page. Email, blog. You can comment on a blog post. Or you can actually, from my website, you can contact me directly from my website. So I would really love to hear feedback. If you want to hear something particular, whether it has to do with blindness or Islam or just my thoughts in general. I'd love to hear feedback. I haven't gotten any feedback, which is fine, but I would like to hear feedback, whether it's good or bad. I think I got a couple feedback on one of my videos about dogs in Islam, and I had a feeling that would get feedback because it's a big topic, right? It's a huge topic. But whatever else you got, please feel free to, let me know however you can. Anyway, take care, you guys, and talk soon. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you.